Welcome back to Tiny Grimes Games, and I'm here with another Star Wars Destiny video. Spoiler season is upon us, and guess what? Even though I don't know what I'm talking about, they've still given me 3 spoilers to bring to you today. That's right, 3 cards from the new Faltering Allegiances set. I gotta say, they're pretty cool. Cards that I'm excited to bring you. But I want to start with Cassian and Jyn. And no, these are not spoilers I'm bringing you. If you haven't seen these yet, it means you're way out of the loop. Go check out all the spoilers. Lots of cool cards. But this is what I thought. I wonder if you share my same thought. When you saw Jyn and Cassian, and you looked at their build costs, and you went 12 and 19. Let me do some math. Carry the 1. That's 31. That's 31. That's not a legal pairing. What is going on here? That's a real missed opportunity to not make Cassian and Jyn be able to work together with elites, right? Because it looks like they would be really awesome together. They both have detect. Cassian works well if he's working with a leader. Boom, Jyn. So obviously these cards should be played together, and I think people were trying to balance out, like, how do I do this? Do I go like elite Jyn, single die Cassian, or reverse? Well, I've got good news for you. I've got good news for you. If you wanted to play these both, here we go. Here comes my first spoiler of the day, and it is a plot, huh? I imagine some of you saw this coming, that, like, there must be a plot then that makes these guys work. And I gotta say, like, any plot that says -1, I'm immediately like, this is promising. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure I've ever played with a plot before. Like, right as I got out of the game, plots were coming into the game, and if I remember correctly, they were quite weak, the first round of them. This one is pretty great. It's -1, so this is going to allow you to play Elite Cassian, Elite Jyn together. That's a great start. Now, there is a catch. Everyone on your team has to be a spy. So, as it currently stands with the card pool, basically the only time you'll ever play this plot is with Cassian and with Jyn together with this plot to make them work. Okay. Maybe that's too narrow. But if you're clever, you're going to look down at the bottom and you go, wait a second, this isn't hero only. This is neutral. That makes me think one of two things. Either there are going to be villain or neutral even spies in this set, in addition to the only 2 we've seen. Remember, we haven't seen that many cards. Or it's sort of laying the groundwork for future sets. Maybe there's only 1 villain spy in this set, or maybe none, and then maybe in the next set there'll be more, or there'll be more hero ones or more neutral ones. But the bottom line is, by the very fact that this is neutral, it makes me think something's coming somewhere down the pipe, right? All right. This card is not ready during the upkeep phase. That's kind of wait, what? So this is a one-time usage card, unless you're going to, use some really powerful effect that untaps something, right? And that is super powerful. And are you really going to use it on this? So this effect, maybe it's a garbage effect because it's just simply a -1 allowing a combo to work that wouldn't normally work. But let's check it out. Action. Exhaust this plot to play a detected card. Now, if you remember, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and bring up our friends Cassian and Jyn again. So Cassian and Jyn are characters that do detect, and what detect is when you activate the character, you randomly look at a card in their hand, and then that card has been detected. Now, if you have Jyn alive still, she says that detected card cannot be played by opponents, which is really strong. Like, if you have these 2 as your combo, that's a lot of control, right? That's like turn 1, you activate them both. That's 2 cards your opponent can't play. They're down to 3 already. Now, the plot layers something else on top of that, saying that not only can they not play them, but once per game, you get to exhaust this plot and play their detected card. That feels incredibly strong. Like, that feels so strong that it is shocking to see such a strong ability on a minus plot. Now, it's very narrow. It's only with spies, so I think the thought process there was we can be very controlling with where we're going to allow this plot to see play, right? Like, it's not going to be one of those things where we're like, oops, Wow, I did not see that plot being totally busted in that deck. Yeah, that was a mistake. Because there aren't that many spies, and any spy they're going to be making, they're specifically going to make it for this plot card. But that is an incredibly useful ability. Like, as early as turn 1, right? It's like, not only can your opponent not play the removal, now you get to play it if you really need to. You probably won't need to turn 1. But what if it's like that redeploy weapon that they have, right? Like, their whole game plan is like, I'm going to get this early redeploy weapon on this character. They're going to have to kill it. It's going to move over. And you're like, no. Not only are you not going to get that ability, I get it. I get to play it on my guy. That just seems so strong to me. And then let's go ahead and look one last time at our friend Cassian, because he has an ability. Power action, play a yellow card from your hand. Then you may spot a leader to ready a non-character card. So, I mean, that doesn't sound... I think that says non-character. It says on-character. I'm assuming that's a typo from where I got this from. But, like, you might be thinking, like, it's not that super strong to ready a non-character card. Like, there are cool things you can do. But, boy, that plot is super strong, right? So, basically, what it's saying is, every turn while Jyn and Cassian are both alive, you actually get to use that plot. And that's really strong. In fact, you're going to get to use that twice your first turn, right? Because it's going to come in untapped. You use it, then you use it again for here. So you could grab both of their detected cards and use them. That sounds crazy. I mean, obviously, you're going to have to use intel cards from yellow to make this happen. I don't have a really good handle on what the intel cards are. But the bottom line is, with this plot, I don't even know what the name of it is, with intelligence operation, we have a really, really good plot. Like, in a vacuum, if this didn't have the word spy on it, like, this is like a totally broken card, right? At a minus, that gives you a bonkers ability. But the bottom line is, it's going to be really cool. It gives you a real motivation to play spies, right? Like, if you saw Cassian and Jyn and you were like, yeah, they're cool and all, but I mean, they're not strong enough. They're missing something. Here's the something. Here is the spice that's going to make you want to play them. All right. That's my first spoiler. Intelligence operation. Really, really strong. Next one. We've got another minus plot. Oh, my goodness. And again, neutral. We use for both sides. All right. Now, there is a catch. You can only include yellow characters on your team. I got to say, that's a pretty dang small catch, right? Like, I get to have an extra build point for those combinations that I couldn't use before, and now I can. Now, I have no idea. I didn't go through every yellow character for both sides, and my thought was it's not worth it because we don't know most of the new characters that are coming in. And then this could also be really good in the infinite format, where now you're having all sorts of combinations that you couldn't use before. So we'll have to figure out exactly what these combinations are that it allows. But wait, there's an upside downside? I don't know. The downside is you lose the starting character role. All right, that's unfortunate. Like, you're not going to be able to rely on a battleground, and there's a good chance you're just giving your opponent 2 shields. So I don't know what that means. Maybe that means you need to really take a good battleground to force them to not let you have it to give you the shields. There's some thinking that you have to do there. But I think more importantly is this really weird thing. After setup, shuffle 2 set-aside copies of each of Disable, Rebel, and Act of Cruelty. And I checked to make sure. This is not an if. This is not a maybe. This is however many you want. This is, your deck is now a 36-card deck, and it has some garbage cards in it and some good cards in it. So let's take a look at what these cards are. So Rebel is a pretty good card, and very interestingly, let's say you're the villains. Guess what? You got Rebel in your deck. You got a pretty good hero card. For 1, you get to play a card from your discard pile, decreasing its cost by 1. This was always great. I remember with like Electroshocks for 0 then. It's like you play this, you get to Electroshock for 0. Lets you discard, say an upgrade that you can't afford now. I don't know, what was like a flamethrower maybe, and then you could just reattach it later. Like, it gives you some flexibility and some play. Now, would I play this in my deck? Probably not. Like, you also have to show discard to even be able to use it. It's super situational, so it's not great. Disable is like, what? when would I ever play Disable in my deck? Like, it would have to be such a specific meta for me to want to play this. And then Act of Cruelty, it costs 1, deal 1 unblockable damage to each of an opponent's damaged characters, then discard a random card from that opponent for each defeated character they have. Again, I don't think this is a card that you're real excited to play. So it is such a bizarre plot that you're like putting these 6 cards in that don't even synergize, right? Like if it was 6 different versions of Act of Cruelty, right? Where it was like 6 direct damage cards that aren't great, you'd be like, okay, I am getting 1 more build point and 6 direct damage cards. But instead you're getting like weird, odd cards you don't want in your deck. So you're basically making your deck worse and losing the character roll just to have 1 more build point. I will say, I love the card. I love the fact that there are more options for the minuses. I really think those are cool to open up things. But this is bad. Like this, the offset of this is really negative, I think. And it's going to have to be really worth it, right? And the fact that they all have to be yellow means there are less opportunities to exploit this. But it's going to have to be really, really, really worth it to want to do that. All right, let's move on to the last one. Our last spoiler today is another plot, so not -1. The Inquisitorius. Okay, interesting. It's like an adjective. Include only if each character in your team is an Inquisitor. Wow, okay. So this is the ultra-specific one, just like the Spy Plot, so I should assume it's a -1 and awesome ability. Wrong. It's 1. Wrong. The ability is not amazing. Instead, I don't know. I find that these cards to turn an opponent's character die to a side showing a blank are bad, personally. And it's even more limiting because it's only a character die. Like, I look at this plot and I'm like, I can't imagine ever playing this in a deck, ever. Like, this just feels terrible to me. But it's interesting. Am I wrong? Is the fact that it is repeatable every single turn, you're going to really annoy your opponent. They roll out, they hit a big one, boop, immediately you've just turned into a blank. And now they have to figure out, like, am I going to re-roll in more stuff, or am I going to allow myself to possibly be wrecked by cards that take advantage of blanks? So it's interesting. I think the fact that it's repeatable makes it passable. I think it's going to depend on like what combinations this is. Again, it's hyper specific. We only have 1 legal card that is an Inquisitor. We have the second sister, who is also an expert duelist, by the way. But if you saw my other spoiler video, I don't think she's good either. So we're sort of left with like, what, you're going to play her, who's not good, and then another Inquisitor who better be a bonkers good card, and then you're going to play that plot. So let's see, that means your other guy has to be a 16 elite. 16 elites tend to not be bonkers. They tend to be good, for sure, but not bonkers good. So that means you're having a so-so character in the expert duelist, a good card, and a pretty blah plot. I don't know. To me, I feel like this is the worst of the 3 plots. I have a hard time imagining this is going to see that much play, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the 13-16 Inquisitor is going to be amazing. Maybe it's going to be the Grand Inquisitor, and maybe he's going to be great, and you're going to have 1 spot left over, and you're going to go, why wouldn't I play this plot? It's great. Every single turn I get to turn a card to a blank. But in a vacuum, it looks just horrific to me. But it feels like a lot of the set is designed very specifically, and it might be specifically quite good. So I think this is this plot that we're going to kind of have to wait and see on, because the Spy Plot, we know the pieces to it, right? We know exactly what we're getting to put with that plot and how it works and how everything goes together, and it makes it look great. And we may, when we see all the pieces to this plot, have the same reaction, but I think in a vacuum, I'm looking at this and going, I don't think so. Wow, let me be clear. there may be more spoilers that come out before this video comes out that makes me look like a fool. And if that's the case, well, then it's accurate. I am a fool. But yeah, that could be unfortunate. But it'll be cool to see what that other Inquisitor is. We do have one other Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor from Empire at War, which was one of these ridiculously costed 14, 19 guys, as like half of Empire at War was these big giant guys that were utterly unplayable because they were overcosted. It looks like in Infinite it has been balanced to be 13, 17. So if you were playing Infinite, you still could not play the Inquisitor and the Second Sister and this plot together. Okay. So, I don't know. Again, we're just going to have to wait to see what it is. Alright, so let's go through these one more time. The plot that I think is the best is the Spies Plot. I think it's a fun plot that's going to really... It's going to really make that Spies deck have a chance. I don't know. I haven't not tried to put a Spies deck together. I think I probably will try that now. I'm curious to see what all you are putting together. But before I had no interest in a Spies deck. It wasn't even something on my radar. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, hey, this looks pretty good. Like this looks quite good actually. Our next one is the Extremist Campaign. And this, again, is situational, right? Like, if we can put together a team that is 31 points and amazing, it might be worth having all of these horrible things happen to us. But, boy, it would have to be good. And then the last one is the Inquisitorius. These inquisitive Inquisitors. And, yeah, it's similar to the Spy one, right? Only... we're going to have to see what the pieces look like. Because the Second Sister doesn't look all that great. The ability looks okay. And it's not a minus. It's not a minus. It's just cost one. Alright. Well, those are the spoilers that I have for Faltering Allegiances. I hope you're as excited as I am for the new set. This is such an exciting time to be sort of like dealing with and jumping in with Destiny. And just checking back in. Like, even if you haven't played in years... such a cool time to check back in, as there's like this new blood and this new life as it's being reborn, as I like to say. And there is a big tournament on, oh my goodness, dates. Let's see, what would that be? The 17th, I believe. Next Saturday, for after the publishing of this video, this Saturday, I believe. Which is going to be a release event that's free on TTS with all the new cards. I think it'll be really fun. I would highly suggest trying it out, right? There's no reason, if you have the time, and many of us do right now, to just go check it out. I'm gonna probably play. I don't know if I'll be able to stay the whole day. That seems unlikely for my schedule, but I'm gonna go check it out, play a few rounds, have a good time, hang out with some people. So, on that note, I'll see you next time on Tiny Grimes Games.